And I do feel like with the picks as well, especially on Exalva, Av3k will probably have the advantage here. We'll have to see. Don't get me wrong, Visor can be quite good on the majority of the maps here with the piercing side, don't get me wrong, but it's more for the angles and definitely preparation for the items as he sees fit, so he knows exactly what to expect before he approaches them, or just depending on what kind of a counter attack, or just trying to keep his distance. There's obviously a lot of ways and strategies you can use Visor on any map pretty much at this stage here, but we're going to get underway very shortly. This is the winners finals, the best of 5. Whoever's going to go through will go to the grand finals, and will also have a 1 map advantage depending on who comes through on the losers side. So it's all to play for here, and it's like I said before, any kind of advantage is absolutely huge from here going into the grand finals. But for Rapha here, it's going to be interesting to see how he does against his old nemesis.
Yeah, I do expect this map to be in Rapha's favour though, if I'm honest, and this is the one Av3k needs to stem the tide of aggression, try and keep in it. If he can put up a good score here, if he can take this, obviously it's the best, but if he can at least keep it highly competitive, and we have seen Av3k's range on this map be phenomenal, but it's against a scale bearer of Rapha. As they do say they're good games, have fun, and we're going to jump straight into this one. Best of 5, winners final.
Lovely. Love to see it. It's going to be the first map will be on Vale, and we're going to see exactly what shenanigans these two are going to get up to right from the get-go, as we're going to start off with the Polish Punisher himself. It will be Av3k here. Already starting off here very aggressively. He has to pull all the way back, but not really too much to talk about there. Just little damage between the two. It's now Av3k just looking to see exactly where he can go. It's actually gone straight through, and that was beautiful.
Yeah, not a lot off the spawn, but what Rapha was forced out already was that orb, which means he can bull rush in. He knows it's not there, but look at that rocket jump. Great quick thinking by Av3k. Lovely rail through the TP, keeping Rapha low, and this is the aggression we needed to see. He cannot let Rapha get away with anything. Rapha will challenge for every item, every little item. Av3k will know that, and Av3k needs to challenge him and make sure he puts that pressure on. Amazing start from Av3k, considering he's been on the back foot.
Certainly has been, and given the range, of course, with his passive abilities, he's not going to take too much damage from the rocket seeds. He does want to try and get away from the bull rush. Av3k now just still is buying his time, but still some kind of aggressive nature. Good, 2 rails, goes for the heavy, or tries to attempt to it, but it's going to be Rapha who picks it up. He's going to try and get away, try and recuperate from that last engagement. But I like this from Av3k. He's not overextended. Just sitting with a control. Great stuff here from Av3k.
Absolutely lovely. Again, the pace is high. He's controlling the high ground. He's keeping on top of Rapha, and this is Av3k at his best so far.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's Av3k. In terms of the armor department, just waiting for that light, but it's got the hourglasses anyway, getting ready for the next orb. Let's pick up the light there on the rockets, hits the first, it's going to go for the second, just barely misses it, but you can see the toes of Rapha there, and then maybe it's coming up in the next second. Look at that, he had that trap perfectly there, LG him all the way down below, looking to try and go in for the kill, and he hits it. Beautiful stuff again from Av3k. This is the start he exactly needed in his winners finals.
I'm not entirely sure what the play was. I don't say that too often. Best disrespect, but this time he has to go on the bull rush. The orb comes out. Lovely switcheroo from Av3k. He could get the conversion here. There you go!
Oh my, this is literally the dream stop. He needs to try and stay alive. I love how he still hit the rail, just putting a bit of pressure onto the heavy, but that should have been Rapha's all day. And as if that didn't even happen, even missing the rail, that was vital though. Does still back away and still trying to stop himself. Hits one more, but the problem is he needs to do a little bit more damage, and maybe they'll shred it afterwards, but he can't do it surely here, Dan. He's got 3 HP, that somehow gets away.
How is Av3k still alive? The amount of damage he's done, and he's still missed 2 rails leading up to that. Rapha obviously putting on the pressure, but he's actually a little bit weak. He will go across. What a rocket from behind! Knocking Rapha a plum, but he took the heavy armor after the pickup. Look at the speed coming out from Rapha. Av3k still clinging on for dear life. Surely he's going to go down soon, Lethal, but the question is, how clean is it going to be? Rapha giving him a bit of breathing space, but what Rapha's doing now is tidying up the map. He's taking everything away from Av3k and saying, cool, I'll leave you alive for now, I will kill you in 30 seconds when there's nothing to your name, and I'll get 3 major items.
Av3k now just picking up all the poverty items across the board to see what he can do. He didn't go straight for rail because he knew full well that Rapha was going to be directly behind him, but surely it's going to be a frag for him. But I must say, let's be honest though, Av3k's been knocking on death's door for quite a while and got away with a huge amount, but he has some great plays to continue with it.
I will say, Lethal, that use of the orb was bad, and I think that now Rapha knows there's no orb available. He's going to come barreling on him once again. However, the rockets are amazing from Av3k. It does repel Rapha. He desperately needed those. Because Rapha realized he hadn't got the orb, he knew he could make play. He comes again, there's still no orb available. The rails are there,
No.
the rails are good, but they couldn't get time for one more.
So close, but I must say Av3k is definitely looking sharp, but he can't give too much control here to Av3k, especially with a heavy champion. He's going to have a huge stack to try and deal with, and that needs to be a lot of chip. But it's hard to chip away at a heavy champion, especially on this map, depending on the circumstances of Rapha's position. He's just dropping down now to see if he can try and find around. Rapha does find him though, and it's going to be very tough indeed. As Rapha just taking his time, he's got plenty of time left on the clock, only one frag down.
Next minute it's massive for Av3k, because this is the problem we talked about in the intro. Rapha's now got a lockdown on the major items, he's healthy, and because of that, Av3k hasn't been able to put any pressure on. Every rail like that unreturned, is massive for Av3k to stay in this game because it stalls that aggression from Rapha, but a little bit more. However, Av3k has to find a way to convert that into at least positioning, if not an item. And you can see Rapha's controlling the area, he's checking the perimeter, he's making sure no shenanigans can come out from Av3k. He's down below, but he did miss that rail. Rapha knows the placing now. He does connect himself. Av3k's doing a good job, but in here, the orb comes out and has to reposition. He might be able to steal away this mega. Rapha's going to push on through. He's taken so much damage.
Oh, this is madness. 54 HP, and Av3k now looking to see what he can do in order to try and finish him. That was so close. And in the end, though, Rapha does manage to get away. And this is the difficulty for Av3k in the past, is the fact that he had to hit at least 2 unreturned rails in order to try and to make a good job of contesting with the LG because of both players, but it just looked too good for Av3k.
And he's pushing in for this next mega as well. Rapha's he's got the loading gun up in the corner. Av3k's still there, but he gets the conversion with the rail.
What is going on here? It's only been 5 minutes in. I kind of feel like we've already done a best of 5 already with the amount of mischief that Av3k's been able to pull off, but it's been absolutely splendid. 4 minutes left though, 3 frags. Deficit now for Rapha to try and catch up on, but we know what it's like. This is one person you cannot sleep on no matter how much time is left, and Av3k obviously full aware of that.
Let that heavy go for free. Oh, the rocket doesn't connect somehow. Rapha's dancing around, not really taking any damage here. Av3k's going to get out. Good rail on the exit. He tries to steal away the mega. That's a nice play by Rapha though. A little bit of odds about why Av3k let the heavy go completely for free and got a little bit stuck through their feet in the mega room in the end. Nevertheless, he has that 2 frag buffer, but there's 3.5 minutes to go, Lethal. Plenty of time.
He certainly does. And at some stage, we're going to see how Av3k is going to approach these dying moments. And this is the problem we see, especially with a heavy champion. When you've got this kind of stack, you need to do at least 2 rounds in order to even contest some of his items. Av3k goes out of course, but in the end, Av3k still continuing on to make sure that he can keep the pressure on, but that rail is going to cost him dearly, and there we go, straight away.
That's coming in strongly, almost poor, and Rapha should getting another frag here. As I say that, somehow the machine gun from Av3k is huge. Rapha still wants to convert this, but realises he's stretched his luck to the bitter end. As if we could look over at Rapha's POV, see how he's going to play the next 2-3 minutes in control.
Yeah, I have to see from his Rapha's POV as well to see exactly how he's going to try and keep control and come back in this matchup. But this is the problem he's going to continue to have here. Again, Rapha just choosing, making that decision wisely in order to try and counter what Av3k was up to, and does manage to do it. The only problem is Av3k is still quite weak, looking to see if Rapha's going to come back up. He hasn't got the rockets really if he goes for the telly, but just using that tri-bolt to full effect and just, again, just keep his distance. Managed to pick up the light in the end though. Still needs to pick up a rail and rockets though, and at least he's able to recover.
Going in strong, there's no orb again, he bounces him away, and this surely be another frag from Rapha, and the rails that were connecting earlier on in the game for Av3k are no longer doing so. See how such a hard task for Av3k to keep in this game. Rapha's already in the vicinity. Lick of damage, not enough, but there's no weapons for Av3k. Rapha knows that. Whoa! 3 clicking. And actually left Rapha very low.
He has done, and now it's Av3k with full map control here. Just, again, needs the weapons in his arsenal. Rapha himself still needs the LG if he can manage to pick that up. He's got a little bit to work with, but that direct is just not going to help out at all. And now he can easily contest the items if as he sees fit.
Av3k taking that cleanly though. Next mega is massive. He's Instead, he's going to do some chip damage from below. Can't afford to take any damage himself. The rail flick is good. Second one doesn't connect, but he's done his job at this point. He retreats to the low ground, lights up next. He knows the timing. Gonna reposition on the high ground, trying to defend this heavy. Av3k doesn't actually know exactly where he is. Gonna find out now as he runs into the bull. Neither player actually connecting, and because of that, Rapha retreats. He realizes he misses opportunity. No entry damage. He has to play defensive. The bull rushes up as well, Lethal. Gonna have to be used defensively.
I was going to say the exact same thing, because he's technically got one left, or the only one left. I can say 35 seconds now. Av3k is going to have to play cannon now to try and get it, but that was the perfect read to use it. The orb is taking a fair amount of damage. He should be able to clean him up, and he doesn't! He's left on 10 HP! That should not be happening!
I mean, I don't even know how that happened, Lethal, as Rapha surely has won map 1 by the skin of his teeth. That was completely the right play by Av3k. I just have no idea how Rapha did so much damage.
I have no idea either. That was madness. We thought that was going to be a guarantee, and I was prepared to say we're all tied up, but in the end it's going to be Rapha who manages to just barely win the first map 7-5. A great way to start this series off as well. And we did say at the same time that for Av3k he's going to be at a bit of a disadvantage. You saw there 23 items there going for Rapha, and it felt like that for definitely the majority of that mid-game where Av3k was just struggling to try and contest the items because he couldn't get 2 unreturned rails. He got 1 here and there, but the problem is it was not enough to be able to contend with some of those items.
No, and for the most part on that map, Av3k was doing exactly what he said he needed to do. He was keeping the pressure on, he was keeping the pace high, he was using the hit scan to make sure Rapha was constantly at a deficit in terms of the stack. But there was that, 3-4 minute period in the mid game where Rapha got that lockdown, and that's where he built enough momentum and enough of a lead to keep Av3k on the back foot. And there were a few clutch moments in the final stages where where Av3k's execution, should I say, was not at its crispest. But nevertheless, we said that was going to be probably the hardest of the matchups for Av3k if we looked at the board. He's going into his pick. We said we preferred the Strong and Peaker on this map on Awoken up against the Doom. He's obviously got to be looking at winning this one.
And we did say as well that considering the accuracy from the get-go from the first 5 minutes, I was so ready to say it's all tied up because the way Av3k was playing at the beginning, we thought he was going to continue on with that high level of accuracy and then be able to take him down, even the scoreline, get the mega, and then hopefully just do his best in order to continue to contend the items and then go for Rapha straight afterwards as a one final blow. But it was the final blow going in favour of Rapha there. He's probably thinking the same thing. He's probably thinking, how on earth did I manage to get out that alive? And we were still talking about it, but remember, it was only 10 HP. So at least the most difficult challenge for Av3k's out the way. He probably assumed that the outcome potentially would have gone for Rapha, but it was still way too close for comfort. But as long as he plays like this in the next 3, potentially 4 maps, there's no reason why he can't come back in this matchup.
100%. You saw the puff of the cheeks by Rapha at the end of that series. He was counting his blessings. He was very fortunate to walk away with that. That final frag that he got when when Av3k pounced on him, I don't even think he knows how he got that frag. Av3k was very healthy. He got the aggression. He got the push in. It was neither here nor there who got that frag. If Av3k got that frag, could have well easily have won that map. And I think overall, he played an exceptional game. So looking at this one, he's definitely going to be feeling good. It's obviously upsetting and a bit frustrating, but he is one of the most experienced here. That won't faze him at all.
No, not at all. Even if it was 2-0 after this map, it wouldn't faze him still. He knows that he can easily come back in this matchup. But going into the second map now, we'll be on Awoken. It's going to be a little bit easier now for Av3k. Won't have to deal with a scale this time round. When he had the Ranger, we'll be starting off with the Strog against the Doom. So let's see what he can get up to. Got the rail, he's got the heavy already. Managed to hit the first rail, so already a little bit of a confidence boost there in terms of his aim, looking to still continue to pile on the pressure like he did in that first map, waiting for Rapha to go for the LG, but instead decides to move out of the way. Perfectly understandable, just trying to see if he's still there. Hears him out and just going to go for the telly, pick up the rocket, still look for the LG, which is going to collect in a second.
Yeah, standard cage start by both sides as they work their way through opposite sides of the map to get all the necessary weaponry they need to contest the next round of items. Quite happy to trade major items at this point as well. Neither one really contesting. Trading rails, meaning they're probably even stacked. Big rail to miss, and Av3k with a Peaker though, coming out doing a bit more chip damage onto Rapha. But Rapha being the Doom, this will be the state of play for the majority of the map, controlling the T-Con. saying that he's repositioned himself and Av3k has taken that vacancy. Nice double jump.
Yeah, it comes out from Rapha in the end, and he's definitely looking to try and contend this mega, but Av3k's aim is so good, and what a combo to start this map.
I mean, he peeks for a second, and Av3k melts him. He comes flying around the corner once again. Av3k, though, with the weapon advantage, does a lot more damage than Rapha in this circumstance. The items have begun to split themselves as well, so Av3k has the chance here to truly manipulate Rapha's positioning through his pressure, and hopefully he can pick up both. Might be happy just to pick up this mega and at least pressure the heavy. You see Rapha there trying to delay the pickup, unable to do so. Av3k going to push on through. Spam coming out from Rapha, but it's not successful. And here comes Av3k. He will be sweeping up this heavy after taking the next frag.
Oh, he's looking to try and push on the PK if he can, but he doesn't. He's left on 12 HP. Again, another situation we just made the assumption for, and Rapha still managed to win that. Unbelievable. Looking to try and catch him on spawn, but already he does not want to literally get into a bout with the LG of Av3k. It's just ridiculous, his tracking.
This is why you don't speak too soon against Rapha Lethal, you know. What should have been a certain frag somehow ends up as a Rapha frag, so why not? This is great champions.
It certainly is. Doing a little bit of damage at 46, I believe, as he's going to pull all the way back, as Rapha's still trying to hold his own, but again, it's just the aim skill coming up from Av3k once again. Look at the stack difference as well. Surely it's just a matter of time, but he knows that he can't contend with the mega as of yet. It's back to waiting for the light, but the light's not there either. Finally, it does appear, but it's going to be a little bit too late, though. The LG battle comes out. He's going to try and flank around it. He's going to try and bait, but look at Av3k's just not messing around here.
Av3k's aim is so good at the moment, and Rapha's struggling with it. You can see with his positioning when we were on his POV, he's trying to jiggle pick around doors. He's trying to do chip damage and catch Av3k with the wrong weapon out, but Av3k's having none of it. Too much experience, and at the minute playing too good.
It certainly is, and what can he do at this stage? You know, we have seen some life from Rapha previously, like so some fights which he takes and somehow comes out alive and actually manages to take it, but a little bit of damage there, but this is the point. It's the choke point, but he's got the stack to push it, which is the main... Oh, these rails here. It's like we're watching Max but on another level at this point.
But what we're seeing is what we described in the intro, from at least from Nosfer anyway. The speed of the strong, the Pika being highly useful. Doom is good, it doesn't offer a lot. The double jumps come in useful a few times, but Rapha's even struggled to control the high ground because Av3k's positioning has generally been too good. He's won himself the heavy so far. Av3k's more than capable of defending, challenging for this mega, and that rail will open the door for his pressure in. You can see Rapha instantly respecting that, trying to cut off the entryway, and he does so successfully. It's a lovely decision by Rapha there to go up onto the mid ground, and he's coming aggressively as well. Up to pick up. Av3k didn't expect that with the wrong weapon out.
That was so situational there, yeah, especially with the weapon switch you were talking about. 4 minutes in, as Av3k still got the frag lead. Rapha's not only fully recovered, but now got a huge stack to continue piling on the pressure for these items. And now we've got to see exactly how Av3k is going to come back in this matchup, especially with the Pika as well. He can give himself the info he requires, or at least do enough damage in order to help contest these items further. But already looking very good for Av3k. Hit the one rail, he's going to try and do a bit more. Does a good job with the Pika, but he's just not missing. He literally just isn't.
Oh, he is not lethal, and you can see the frustration from Rapha is making the right decision with the right position. The execution from Av3k is so on point.
But at the moment, it's coming back through again, and even Rapha's shaking his head a tad. But still, though, 4 HP, and is Av3k going to go for it now? I assume he's not, but even then, though, it looks like he's decided just to get map control instead and just get top mid. Using Berserk to try and go for it, but he misses it sadly. Of course, you know, with the patch notes, it would have been a different story if it also locked, but even in the end, though, not going to happen. Full frag advantage for Av3k.
Yeah, a little bit of desperation from Rapha. He's trying to force the issue down. Slightly uncharacteristic, but I guess he hit the point of no return and trying to maximise his time there. Av3k got in on this major item as well, so this map, what a rail. Rapha is now struggling for items.
It certainly is, right in between the legs as he was double jumping over, but didn't phase Av3k one bit. And I love how, in terms of his cursor placement, assumed that he was going to double jump as he was going to that choke point for the mega and decided just to lift his aim a tad. So making sure to really put the pressure onto Rapha, and he has continued to do so. But 4.5 minutes left. Comeback potential is still there. Long as Av3k's playing how he's playing, it looks like he's not letting up at all. He's going for the heavy, but the problem is at what cost?
But Rapha's going for these angels. You can see him playing in that area. Now, because he's taken that jewel, he had taken too much damage to get out. Rapha's in trouble in this now. 5 frag difference at this point. Definitely a comeback potential, but going up against a strong, he will be chasing the game, and Av3k is not letting up on this item rotation either.
He certainly isn't, but does find him, hits the first rail, needs the second at least, tries to go for the rocket, but does manage to hit it. 50 HP, he's waiting for him to go through the light. Is he going to get him? Yes, he does. So at least that way he saved himself at least about 5-10 seconds having to try and chase Av3k down. And at this point here, Dan, he needs as much time as possible in order to come back.
Yeah, now he's going to go full aggression. Av3k will slowly recede to the defense. Big rocket coming out from Rapha, but now Av3k will steal away the Mega as well, and Rapha realizes he's made a dire mistake by letting that go.
Certainly has done. He is top mid, does have height advantage, drops down to see if he can get any damage, but that rocket just... The situation a little bit worse here for Rapha. He's now picked up the heavy. He's got a great stack now to try and contest this this Mega in the next 12 seconds. But I'd be scared in Rapha's position. Like the ways he's LGing and the rails coming out from Av3k, it's just absolute madness. And still though, he had a slight stack advantage and he's making it look as though he was weak the whole time. Like you couldn't make this up.
And the challenge for Rapha now is to get back into the game. He's going to have to take more and more risks and more of these aim duels. And that's the area he's been struggling with at this point. He's not been connecting with the shots. Av3k's been bullying him with the aim, and yet he has to give up his items, he has to give up position in order to chase Av3k. He may get a frag here, but just look how weak he is. He doesn't even get the frag at that. Av3k does. However, Rapha will come barreling on through. She gets the perfect spawn. Nevertheless, Av3k denies him once again with a huge rocket, and a second, and a third. Av3k is on a roll in the second map.
I can't believe what I'm watching. I'm just so glad that at least Av3k's like you said, he's not phased by that first map. He knew that there's a potential chance that he will lose it, but I didn't expect it to be that close. It definitely could have gone Av3k's way, looking to tie this map up, and I'm pretty sure he will at this stage. There's only 2 minutes left, and of course with the Strog, he's not going to have much of a chance in order to come back, especially with that deficit. So 10-3 at the moment, 2 minutes left. Rapha now just trying to at least recuperate, and because I think you did mention as well, he's trying to take some of these aim duels and just hoping that he can get the better of him, but Av3k's just not letting him down at all. Just hit the first one, he's trying to look for another one if he can, but even if he doesn't hit, it doesn't matter. This one just needs to waste. Like, no way, no! Oh, if he did that, I swear, it would have ruined his confidence so much going into that third map. Talking about value in your life.
That was almost bordering on disrespectful. How amazing that was. Oh boy, don't try that at home, kids.
No, absolutely not. I wouldn't advise that from anyone. But Av3k, he can do that for the so we'll let him off on that one. He's backing away, trying to doesn't hit the rail, but it looks like the Mega will be going in favour of Av3k. As Rapha now just looking to get the light and just recuperate a tad as he's going to progress in towards the heavy up in the next few seconds. But do you know what? He can let them have it.
Stopwatch. 1 minute warning.
Yeah, minute left indeed. There is no hope for Rapha on this map, and he has to reflect on this and say, what can I do? You know, he picked the Doom. He was confident enough in his control and his positioning to be able to overcome Av3k. There must have been a thought process there. As Nosfer said, he didn't like it, we didn't like it. I don't want to say it was arrogance, but it was definitely an expectation that alone would won the game. And obviously he would not be happy with how the lack of clinical performance Av3k was playing on a number.
He certainly has, but it's not like he's playing a player who's a little bit inexperienced in terms of their dueling experience, and then be able to, you know, rely on his movement, his position on the map in order to take these matches. But this is Av3k. This is a guy who's had years upon years of dueling experience as well, but he's got the 8 to boot, which is where Rapha is starting to struggle. But here we go, in second map, we've got definitely a series on our hands. Already set the first map, but the second one, yeah, my word, you couldn't say anything more than that. 10-5 in favour of Av3k, looking extremely strong, and I think because of the consistency with the aim skill of Av3k, Rapha surely is going to be worried going to these next few maps.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to look at his game plan and reevaluate. Map 1 was won largely because he had a scale bearer. He had a bigger stack. He could pressure his opponent. But even then, he was struggling for large parts of Vale because, as you said, the aim skill of Av3k, because of the mechanical skill that he was bringing out. This time you put them on, you know, a slightly more even playing field, even an Av3k favoured playing field, and you saw what happened. The number of times it was essentially Av3k just out aiming Rapha. You know, there was a couple that rail duel by the heavy. Av3k hit 3 rails, Rapha hit none. Av3k was just out-positioning and out-gunning his opponent and then backing it up with solid control and solid decision-making. We're moving on to Keep now. Obviously, we're taking Rail out of the equation, but we're also giving Av3k 2 guns. He's taken the Blazkowicz away, which would traditionally have been Rapha's pick. I think that was a semi-deny pick, but we also know Av3k does like to play that champion as well. Rapha still picks up the Death Knight, and we know how powerful that can be in the right hands, and Rapha probably has the best Death Knight on the world in his day. The burst potential is there. If Av3k can skirt around that, you've got to favour the BJ in this circumstance.
Just nodding my head because, you know, again, a very aim-heavy map here on Corrupted Keep. Could be training back and forth, and like I said, with the BJ, you know, the way Av3k is aiming, when that duel comes out, he's going to get absolutely deleted. And I'm just, don't get me wrong, in terms of the positioning from Rapha and, you know, the decision making, it's been okay. It's been fine. It's just the aim just letting him down a tad. And Av3k, I think he knows that. And I think, if I remember rightly, Rapha actually lost on Corrupted Keep to Razy before, and it was in a commanding lead by in dominating fashion.
He did, but that was a different situation. There was an anarchy in play there. Razy got off to a quick start. Rapha was looking a little bit stressed in that image as well, not something you traditionally see. So he, as we said, he's in a point of reflection now, and he is somebody we know tailors and adapts and builds throughout a series, probably better than anyone else in the world. He's even more experienced than Av3k in that aspect, so we have to keep harping back. Each map is going to be taken in its own context. We're looking at Blazkowicz versus the Death Knight here, slightly favouring the Blazkowicz. We've seen the aggression that Av3k can pull out here. So that is going to be one of the key factors when I'm looking at this game. If Rapha gets off to a good start, though, and can lock Av3k out the items, it can definitely snowball in his favour. But I don't think Av3k will let that happen. Yeah,
Rapha even went a little bit red in the face with frustration, or blushing. I'm not really too sure. It could be one of the two, but, you know, you could definitely see it. And it's like you said, you know, it's not often we see him too frustrated, but you could clearly see just everything he was doing was correct, but just didn't work because of the aim skill coming up from Av3k. But for Corrupted Keep, it didn't look good for Rapha beforehand against Razy, but it's like you said, it was against the Anarchy. It's a completely different story here. But now with Death Knight, try and make something work here against the BJ of Av3k, but the way his accuracy has been so far, it's been difficult. But there's no rail, so at least that way the engagements will be a little bit different coming along here, as now the LG already coming out here. Av3k heavy machine gun, though, at least it goes in favour of Rapha, but even then, though, still doing a huge amount of damage here from Av3k.
Jumping in doing chip damage. He's actually doing more chip damage than Rapha, although that's a huge couple of rockets. Finish it now, and he can finish it now. So whilst Av3k was trying to take the initiative there, defensive play from Rapha was on point. Dual machine gun comes out, Flame Strike comes out as well, and Rapha gets this 2-0 victory. This is what we were fearing, looking at Av3k's point of view.
Certainly is 2 frags this early on, but you know what Corrupted Keep is like. Now things are going to settle down a little bit compared to what we saw right at the very beginning. Rapha's just standing his ground, just letting him try and find out what Rapha's up to. He's just basically just collecting his thoughts once again, just on that top of the area, heading in towards Heavy. Mega's up in the next second. Looks like he's not really going for it as of yet, but he's just trying to put the pressure onto Av3k whilst he's going for it, just making him try and force over. But it looks like it's actually forced Av3k to go towards the Mega, and at least Rapha does get the Heavy anyway, which could have been his game plan necessarily.
Could be. Av3k did pop the dual wheel just to secure that item. He slowed down the pace since the start, recognising Rapha was more than matched to the aggression to come out. Strike is also back up. He might push in with it here. Is Av3k very much trapped? He doesn't even need it. Av3k's just going to flop off of the map to make it 3-0. Absolutely commanding start from Rapha. 1.5 minutes in.
So he is just diving into that red room just to try and get away there. Mega is up, but already a decent amount of damage here from Rapha, but Av3k does win that Mega, and I'm sure for Av3k, the way he's been playing at the moment, he can definitely come back in this matchup. Still very, very early days as of yet. He's using that heavy machine gun to good use there, but at the same time, Av3k is just equalising the damage down in order. But finds out where he is. Good LG, but Rapha almost got taken down. He finally gets cleaned up. It's just absurd here, Dan.
So much damage from Av3k out of nowhere, and I was about to say, Rapha's the one that's contesting the item, but somehow Av3k's the one that's coming away with the frags.
And he picks up the Mega in time, and the great thing is because he killed him so early, he can just go straight forward without any kind of contention at all. Is Av3k now just Back away, picks up the light, got a great stack, is looking to see if he can do a little bit more onto Rapha as he heads into the red room, has dropped down and looking to see if he can go for the flank, but again reading him like a book, avoids the flame strike as well, but the rocket is definitely going to pay dividends. It's now just using the dual just to use that audio cue just to force Rapha off as the Mega's going to be up any second now, and he's going to get that nicely.
He is. Avic's slightly winning out on the light armors as well, which is one of the reasons why he's able to stabilize in this game. Items more or less at the same time. Once again, doesn't seem virtually anything from the flame strike. Avic's going to have to get out of there. Too much chip damage. Sticks around to do some heavy machine gun, which ends up being a fairly substantial amount of damage. But Rapha has the high ground here. Avic realizes that now, dodging his way around, taking virtually no damage. Sneaked his way into the mega. But Rapha, what a read that is! Lovely. I thought he nearly failed that, but it was a great read.
It was really close, but at least Avic's done enough damage now to hopefully not get the trade, but at least get the weapons in his arsenal whilst Rapha recovers with his armor. Now Rapha just standing by him for a while for the items to come up here, at least 15 seconds until that next mega, as Rapha just continues to stand his ground, wait outside that red room. Knows exactly where he is, so knows what to expect, using that dual wield as well just to see if he can lure him out in any way, but not going to happen as Rapha's actually rotated all the way around just to let him know that he will be picking up that heavy.
Rapha's showing a lot of respect here. They both are. Avic's popping the dual wield pretty much every time it's on cooldown to secure major items. Rapha's respecting that, he's not engaging in those rooms, taking this mano-a-mano fight here. It's about 50-50. Rapha backs off to more resources on his side of the map though. That's why he was quite happy to take that fight, because he can fall back onto the bubbles, he can fall back onto the lights, understanding his positioning and when it was good for him to take that fight. But he's just going to save onto it, using it almost more in a defensive way at this point. He's saying, if you want to push me, fine, I have this utility. My burst it now as he's caught in the choke point, but it ends up being more of a denial again, not allowing Av3k to push on through. Jewel comes out and he's caught him, he bounced him away. Av3k though won't be able to clean this up just yet, but he's left Rapha very much on the ropes.
And he has done, and he does pick him apart, and Av3k knew how weak he was. It's a matter of making the right read, knowing which route which Rapha's going to take. That much to take him down. So heavy is up. Oh, the damage with the nails. Is looking to try and do a bit more with the LG. Just switches to heavy machine gun instead, and keeping his distance as well. He's doing that engagement. Avik wins that outright.
I don't say this often, but Avik's weapon choice is so good compared to Rapha's at this point in time. Always has the right weapon, always doing more damage in the mid to long range. Rapha just cannot cope with Avik's damage output.
Just can't do anything, and also Avik's known for his adaptability as well, so when you've got both hand in hand, what can you do at this stage? As Rapha has been lacking a little bit. Don't get me wrong, his aim skill this map compared to the last one is a lot better, but it's not saying much to us. Avik's just not let himself down at all, and just using heavy machine gun again, and when you can see the headspace over at the LG area, Rapha knows just to back away to the tab, but even then it's actually done a fair amount of damage. I'm quite surprised considering the angle.
Nearly got through that doorway, but the item's up now. Avik has the dual wield as well. Is he going to contest for it? No, he actually respects Rapha, backs off to pick up this heavy instead. So 50-50 at this point.
Yeah, every map has been tooth and nail at the moment. Things have calmed down a tad, and I mean just a tad. It's only been a few seconds, and he just wants to try and get in space once more. But keeping his distance, doesn't have a heavy machine gun as of yet, but it's got to try bolt to free out his opponent. Let's get a little bit down, so knows he's in the red room, maybe charging around to using the dual wield as well, and that's perfect timing. He'll still have it a bit whilst that Mega is up, and he can collect the LG at the same time, but Rapha's actually pushed him back.
Avik knows the timing of the item, and he's really outworked himself here. This has given Rapha the whole map to play with. You can see Rapha striding around the map. Avik, yeah, a bit to the side there. Big mistake in this map. With only 3 minutes to go, Avik could have to pull something magical off. Rapha comes steaming in, he knows he's got Avik on the ropes. This could be the turning point lethal.
It certainly could be. 3 minutes left. That's exactly where Avik is. Again, just keeping his distance. He's got lead. It's Avik's turn now to be the aggressor. Just using that rocket to keep him away from the red room. He's got the rocket back. And he does have a little bit of time to go towards the heavy. Won't be able to pick it up, but may be able to try and deny it in some way. Using the flame strike straight afterwards, and that was a huge amount of damage. But the stacks are almost equal until Rapha picked up that light.
Rapha instantly knows he's done more than enough damage and backs up, and look, he's taken both of the light armors and all the health, leaving Avik with nothing. Avic's in a very hard place. He had to pop the dual wield there, which means the flame strike's back up for this next engagement. Rapha might catch him from behind. He knows where he is. Doesn't use it just yet. He actually holds on to it to the very last second.
Stopwatch.
And now this map might begin to snowball away. The question is how can Av3k stem the tide?
Stopwatch.
True question. The problem is, look at the stack of Rapha though. It's just way too much. This is where, like you said, will be and could be and should be actually the returning point. But some good rockets there, don't get me wrong though, but Av3k is seriously struggling now, just using a heavy machine gun from distance. He doesn't need to push, he just needs to keep holding that control, which he has done. Picks up the light from the red room, makes his come up next couple of seconds. Knows Av3k could not go for it or fully commit, but at least be in terms of range or at least at the angle. But yeah, he's just way too weak at this stage.
And now Rapha's on his roll. This is all on his terms. He's losing all the resources on the map. He's taking away the lights, he's taking away the major items. It really looks like there's no comeback for Av3k at this point. He might even finish it here and now. He's got Flame Strike just to trap Av3k in this little courtyard, and there's nothing he can do. And when you look back at the context of this game, the back and forth, it all came down to a mistiming. Av3k popped his dual wield too early. He didn't know when that mega was, and Rapha did. It's as simple as that. And you have to praise the presence of mind of Rapha. He just doesn't make mistakes like that.
And looks like the tracking from Rapha is back on form. It's obviously giving him the confidence to fight back against Av3k in these duels. And obviously it should do, like, you know, because in the stack he has and the confidence and the aggression which we've seen from Rapha now. Been quite sad for Av3k, sadly. But you're right though, that one little mistake of the timing is pretty much cost him here, because both of them were very back and forth. It was very consistent and there was no way of telling both apart until that one moment. And now these next couple of minutes, it's going to be GG from both players. It does mean that Rapha will take the third map. It is going to be 2-1 in the series, and we've still got potentially two more maps to go as we will go to back to the picks and bans eventually. I want to say it's Molten Falls next.
I believe you're right. We can have a look at the picks and bans, I believe. There we go.
There we go. So it is going to be on Av3k's map pick this time round. And how do you feel about the Sorlag versus Anarchy matchup here?
I like it a lot. I think it's still a very good matchup. Rapha picked up the Anarchy instantly. Anarchy is amazing on this map, very quick, has the inject. But then the Sorlag in response is good. Rapha likes to have the speed advantage, and having the Sorlag, you basically nullify that, and you have a stack to play off. So that will change Rapha's game plan and force him to a bit more of a defensive play set. If we saw, like we saw on Awoken, that Av3k can get the upper hand on the railing, that's where you feel very fragile as an Anarchy, and Av3k can put the pressure on. So it is probably the best thing he could have actually picked in this situation.
I think after the second map, Rapha felt a little bit deflated considering the duels he was taking and just getting completely outdone, outright pretty much. And I kind of feel like for Av3k, he could have the advantage if he takes this to a map 5. If he goes to map 5, even with the kill against the Visor, then that's where he'll be like, right, okay, let's end this. Let's just finish this up 3-2 and just send Rapha down into the loser's bracket. But of course, Rapha does have the advantage, still needs to win 2 maps on the trot, just taking it 1 map at a time. And there's no reason why Av3k can't do this, especially with the Sorlag. And at least he did ban the slash to give him a bit of breathing room also. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. And every one of these maps so far has been absolutely to the wire. Av3k's definitely been getting the upper hand in terms of just pure combat skill. But when you look at strategy, when you look at the clinicalness of the performance, that's where Rapha got the upper hand. All it took was one mistake on Corrupt to keep lethal, just one mistiming. You gave Rapha an inch, and he took that mile. It was a perfect performance from there on out, but it was a hard-fought battle up until that time. So we need to see just more stability from Av3k throughout the 10 minutes.
Yeah, we certainly do need to. If you're just joining us, we're in the winners' finals. It's a best of 5. We are going to go to map number 4, Molten Falls, in just a second, as Rapha currently up 2-1 in this series. And it really has been a slugfest, isn't it? It's been a massacre. It's been just absolute chaos, just to no end. We had pretty much no time to analyse some of the situations on numerous occasions, just due to the fact that with what was going on, it was just absolute madness. But this is what we expected from a winners' finals, especially how Av3k was doing even yesterday when he played against Myztro. There's a lot of signs of that. He's got potential to be a champion here, and he still can do, depending on how these 2 maps go.
Definitely. There is nothing between these two at this point, and it's not been often in the past that Rapha gets pushed to the wire so regularly. And Av3k is doing it today. He's looked absolutely perfect at times, and so we just need to continue that momentum and hopefully not be too downtrodden, because that map was probably more in his favour up until that point. And like we said, it was just the smallest of mistakes. He knows he can't forfeit that as easily. And Corrupted Keep is one of those maps. If you get locked out of it like he did at that point, it is almost impossible to come back against the best players. Molten falls much harder for that to happen, and he has the utility of the rail, which was his standout weapon across the series up until that point.
Oh yeah, when we saw the second map, the bloke just went missing, was he? Let's be honest. And, you know, every time he needed it for his defensive purposes or just to finish up or clean the frag, he did it just every single time. We didn't get to see the accuracy, but, you know, it's a shame we did because it must have been at least in the 50s and the 60s, considering the work he was doing. And I'll never forget when it was along the rail side and still went just on the outskirts of the map and still hit 3 in a row. He was just basically, yeah, it was like he said, lack of self-respect, lack of respect there on his opponent. And do you know what? Why not? He wants to make him feel horrendous going into the third map. And Rapha just weren't phased, just continued on, went into Corrupted Keep. Seemed like his aim is back also. And, you know, I don't like to talk about accuracy too much. I feel like I have done throughout this entire series, but it has been the turning points. You know, both these players have got a huge amount of dueling experience, you know, a lot of adaptation. They know this game inside and out, you know, not just in Quake Champions, but of course in the previous Quakes over the last 2 decades. But sometimes it does come down to that when you've both got that wealth of knowledge here coming into this matchup. So it looks like they're both going to get ready quite shortly, but yeah, it's like a completely different kettle of fish here. You know, if we're not on Corrupted Keep, it's not so open. There's definitely a rail involved here, you know, and Molten has got a bit more space to work with and a bit more time to try and recover. But it does depend on, you know, in terms of the assist bit, when he wants to use it defensively to try and get the items, or on the other end for the Anarchy, using that inject at the perfect moments in order to try and win out some of those engagements here. So there's definitely a lot to talk about, but for Av3k, it's definitely going to be dwelling on his mind that, you know, if he loses this matchup, it's going to be a bit disappointed going into the losers finals, knowing that he definitely had a chance, knowing that the champion picks were just slightly in his favour. But also we've got to remember, Stefan, that if he wins this map, he knows that he could be in a comfortable spot to take Exile as well.
Yeah, and you just look at the significance of this match over the context of the tournament, right? Like, I don't know the last time we saw anyone win an event from the lower bracket, because that is just such a brutal run. Look at some of the beasts that are down there. We have Zeneku, we have, you know, Razy. The names that are down there waiting for you is the shark pit. And not only that, it's just so draining. You then have to play another series back to back with another series into the finals. So nobody wants to be dropping down at this point in the set, because you get a long break, you get to analyze if you win this, and you get easy. But he still has one more map to win, Rapha, which gives Av3k a big lifeline. And if I'm in Av3k's shoes at this point, yes, it's frustrating, but you know you've had the upper hand for a lot of situations. And I actually prefer the Sorlag pick ever so slightly.
Rapha already been very, very aggressive there. Just they can do a fair amount of damage at the same time, just delaying this Mega. And at the moment, the rockets are coming out. It's looking very good. He hasn't got any armor to his name, but Av3k's looking much, much better. After that engagement, does pick up the rail, but Av3k knows exactly where he is. He's actually made the perfect read as he's backed off.
Not only that, but Av3k also heard the timing of the Mega, which was delayed by Rapha, and so Av3k can bully his way into this heavy here, and then he can scoot back across to get the Mega. He's actually just going to be denied by Rapha from above. He's trying to do any sort of damage. Not doing it actually allows Rapha in to pressure this next Mega. Av3k's waiting down below with the LG, right weapon in hand again. Rapha not connecting. How weak he is. He's forced to pop the inject to get back across the map.
He's still only got one rocket left in the chamber, so he just needs to try pick another one up when he gets the chance, especially if he wants to try and contest Mega or Heavy and just lay some rockets down. But he's got time for that. He's meant to pick out some ammo nonetheless. Just biding his time here. And then we've got to talk about the trade potential as well. Between Heavy and the light champion, it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Rapha when if he doesn't get the cleanest of frags, and then literally goes after straight after, then there could be problems later on. Again, having to use the inject once more and having to back away. But again, having made the read, but the thing is though, he managed to stop him in his tracks. And in the end though, it's going to be Rapha winning that last fight.
I actually like that decision from Av3k. It was just the execution from Rapha was perfect. Bounced into a double rocket. Pretty unfortunate for Av3k. Now, with the difference between the items, Rapha should be able to win out on this Mega as well. Wouldn't be surprised if he just strides on down. He actually doesn't. He respects Av3k down there and decides to play it a bit safer.
And we know that for Av3k, he needs to try and play a more of a rail-heavy game. That's what he was known for in Awoken, and we need to see a little bit more of that.
Yeah, as much as... Yeah, exactly. But the problem is on Molten, it's very easy to actually not take those angles. You can see Rapha's not looking to go out onto the the main part of the map, which is where the rail is most useful. He's sticking to these back rooms.
The problem is for Rapha though, in terms of his consistency, you know, he could have the best of days, but it'll still look very, very solid. And of course, Av3k is well aware of that. To give his absolute A game, got a huge stack, but that rail was so important here for Rapha in order to try and at least give him a bit of time and at least a way in to try and contest these items a little bit better. But now he's just to sit back. But I don't think he expected Av3k to be so close. He could actually try and go in for it if he wants to, but has decided not to because he also took a fair amount of damage himself and needed to prioritise that heavy.
He did, and he's been caught out in the open. He hit. Inject comes out. He might even forfeit the Mega. Pushing in with the spit and a rail, but forcing it back. And you see how cagey it is. This map can be won by the smallest of margins, so Av3k not looking to force the issue. And we saw this against Base yesterday. He's biding his time, waiting for the right opportunity, which is definitely the right play. Hasn't got a big enough advantage towards yet. Rapha's walked away with both major items. Av3k more than content at this point just to work off his basic stack with the lights.
Oh, he's actually dropping down. I didn't expect that. And instead, he's trying to wait onto that Mega. So, good as spin. The only problem is he took way too much damage. They're a bit surprised on the drop and maybe expected a little bit more. Might have even been a mistake. But even in there, I think he was hoping that because he's just below the staircase, that Rapha would be a little bit of an awkward angle to have to make a weapon switch. And mid through that, he could have done a little bit more. But some nice damage here from Av3k. Looks to be a nice way to really get himself back in this matchup. And surely he's going to try and go in for the kill. Is he? Oh, he almost went off as well. Still hit the rail straight afterwards. And now needs to back away, but the Mega's up in the next 5 seconds. Can Av3k get into position for it in time?
What a rail, defensive rail from Rapha on the flick as well, but Av3k is still connecting with his. Rapha trying to get away. Av3k this time not able to get the angle. The spit's there once again. He's trying to cut Rapha off. He might be successful. He really needs to get onto some of these items though. He's been struggling, and you're right, that drop was a little bit awkward. Maybe a mistiming again as he was very early for it. Cannot see any more of those mistakes from Av3k throughout this series because Rapha will always capitalize.
And look, Rapha's just constantly checking his back because he knows that Av3k's been quite unpredictable with his approach with the rail and just doesn't really going to get a bit too careless with the routes he's taking. He's now just going away. Still can't find any armor. Finally managed to get the light above the Mega and looking just trying to rotate across. And it's looking very good for Rapha at the moment, but Av3k's still really piling on the pressure.
He is, and now Rapha's slowing down the pace as well, forfeiting the heavy, Av3k delaying it, trying to offset any knowledge of Rapha whatsoever. Rapha's actually kept the timing bang on. Gives him a big lifeline to fall back on if Av3k wants to put the pressure.
And they actually both did the exact same thing, didn't they? They actually just delayed it by a few more seconds, but just ended up being in sync almost anyway. Rapha now's in a good position. He's going to see if he can find it, but both doing the exact same thing, just at different parts of the map. Trying to throw each other off, but that's a good first rail there from Rapha, which does mean that Av3k will have to back away a tad. Hasn't really done too much to the stack. It's pretty much the same as the good things about Rapha there is the fact that he managed to hear the audio cue for that heavy and have the timing for it in case he does want to progress there later on.
I wouldn't even be surprised if Rapha plays like this for the next 4 minutes. Just staying in this area, making sure he gets timing on of that item. Not only is it timing, but it's also perfect information of exactly where your opponent is. As I say that, he actually takes the move to walk around into the heavy area and forces Av3k back.
Two missed rails could have been a different approach here, but he was also trying to go for the heavy. I don't think he expected that too much. He assumed he's just going to have a gentleman's agreement and go back to the Mega, but this fight is going to continue on. Av3k has a slight advantage here. Is Rapha now still actually progressing? No, here's the rail, but Av3k was more than prepared, and now it's just a one frag game.
I think Rapha was caught at odds with how ballsy Av3k was playing, just striding on through, expected him to go high ground. It was a high-risk play from Rapha, potentially unnecessary, and it pays dividends for Av3k this time, but he is very low. Rapha knows it, he's low himself, he hasn't got the inject for 10 seconds. Avik, not knowing that timing, just decides to retreat to this Mega area.
He's doing the same. He's actually doing the same. He's actually going to go for the Mega as well, so he's going to go straight forward, but in the end, Avik, 13 HP still, and Rapha's almost as weak and just barely managed to get away. Going towards the rail now, 3 minutes left, but it's going to feel like a lifetime here for Rapha.
Yeah, it is indeed, but he got away to the resource side of the map. Avek's going to have to push on in, just using that spit to try and delay the push from Rapha, and it is successful. That will get him a freer item. He also tracks Rapha around the map with that ticking 10. Rapha's actually ticking the way down. He's going to take this fight. Oh, Avek doesn't connect. He knows how low he is. He connects this time. Rapha pushes in, but no! The switch from Rapha.
Oh, as if that happened. 2.5 minutes left now as Avek is going to be in desperation mode to try and force out some of his situations if he can, and needs to try and catch Rapha off guard. Still with a 2-frag lead, but that rail's just not going to help at all. But the acid spit comes out in the end, which means he will be able to guarantee himself back heavy as Rapha has backed away and is going to be picking up the Mega. But it's like I said, he's going to play quite similar to how he has done in the previous couple of minutes, but he's been so close to be taken down.
And we've been talking about Avek's aim all game long, but it's Rapha that's been hitting the initiation rails in this one. He's the one hitting the clutch shots, and this is why he is regarded as the best player to grace this game. He has to keep it up for 2 more minutes. He knows the timing of the heavy, but so does Avek this time, hopefully, as he comes striding in. But no, a big rocket to the face. See you later, Lizard, as Rapha sweeps up another item and will run around using his injet to get across with Mega. The spit comes out, but Rapha's more than happy to take this fight. He's going to whittle down Avek and just scuttle away. And this is what Rapha is so good at. He takes the fight to get Avek low and then backs off to the resources, and that will be a good game, Lethal.
Yeah, that is going to be... What a series.
That's the game of chess he plays. He half commits, he knows you're out of position, he knows he can then retreat to the items, and it forces Avek to come to him. Such good play from Rapha.
Yeah, it's been really smart throughout, and I think you're right here. He managed to pick up the Mega though, the acid split comes out, but again, he's only got a minute left remaining, which means he's going to not get any value out of that, and Rapha's just going to stand his ground and just not even worry about that in the slightest. And even with the Anarchy in the hitbox, there's no way he's going to get 4 frags back in this next minute.
No, Avek's called the GGs, so this game is now officially over. Rapha is going to take it 3-1. They will play it out, even though Avek's already called the GGs, but we know this one is done and dusted.
What a series. That could have easily gone either way, though. Like, I hope Avek doesn't feel too deflated after that, because he's played really well, and I really think he could have done. It's just very small marginal errors which really did cost him. I wouldn't even say that though, just very awkward shots, and like that one shot he could have hit when Rapha using his Anarchy was trying to get back from that last engagement to go through to the rails. He just barely missed it. You know, that could have been the turning point. You could see a completely different story. Would have had item control as well, would have had everything he needed to go into map number 5. But sadly for him, no, he will drop into the losers bracket, but will be meeting the winner later on in the losers finals, again another best of 5. But Rapha, he'll be standing tall, he'll be waiting for him in the grand finals, as he'll be waiting to see exactly who he will be up against later on this evening.
Indeed. Once again, we see Rapha making his way through the upper bracket. It's common, it's expected, but it's been much more complicated for him than other events. Every single series he's been in, he's lost at least a map. He's been pushed to the wire so many times, and that one could have gone either way. You know, one big glaring mistake on Corrupted Keep, one high-risk play at the start of Molten that didn't work, and then that, again, miscalculation